today might be a typical day where I've been helping a company deal with a redundancy program where it's been quite complex and we've had all sorts of consultations to think about, so I've supported them through that. We've got another company where there's a director dispute going on and we've done quite a lot of work on that. I'm regularly helping companies manage processes and procedures, particularly where there's poor performance or capability involved, and they've got to be very careful on the discrimination side so that they don't get on the wrong side of a dispute there. And then, as you say, if all else fails, and it does end up in an employment tribunal, that's, I think, where we can be of quite a lot of support to anybody who's on the receiving end of an employment tribunal case. There are two ways of buying a business, essentially. The first is to buy a company, and the second is to buy a business from a company. Now, if you're buying the company, you simply buy the shares in the company, and the company is an ongoing entity, and you take over all the history of all the employees, warts and all. So it's important to find out what's been going on so that you know exactly what it is you're taking over. Now, if you're buying a business, what will happen then is that you will take on all the employees who work in that business, all the employees who are assigned to the economic entity that you're buying. Well, within the first 2 months of joining the business, an employee is entitled to have a statement of the main particulars of his or her employment. And that's really the bare minimum, and it's set out by statute as to what you are required to give them. Then at the very beginning of the business, you've got to think to yourself whether it's sensible to create contracts of employment, which includes the main particulars of the employment, but also contains mechanisms to protect the business. Yes, it is quite a technical process, because as you're building up to the transfer of the business from the seller to your business, there needs to be information. The seller needs to give his employees and his staff information about the forthcoming transfer. If there are any measures that are going to take place with the employees, there needs to be some consultation going on, and people need to have all the information and all the measures available so that they can make an informed response before the transfer. Well, in a situation where you have employees, where you have people working for you, they are very difficult to manage and control, and it tends to be that your employees are your greatest risk. And the reason for that is because you are vicariously liable for whatever they get up to. And that's why it's important to have your policies and procedures in place and to train them on the policies and procedures to try and manage their behaviour as much as you can. We were talking about discrimination, and I think the first thing, well, there are two important things to bring out of this. The first one is that the employer is vicariously liable for anything that his staff might do. So you've got to be very careful that your staff are well trained and reminded continuously about how they should behave towards each other. And secondly, that discrimination can be conscious and subconscious. But you've got to be aware of the characteristics which can give rise to a case for unlawful discrimination.